Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Michael C. Hall's gothadelic band, Princess Goes to the Butterfly Museum, rocks Baltimore soundstage on July 22nd. I spoke to Hall along with drummer Peter Yanowitz and keyboardist Matt Katz-Bowen about forming the band after meeting on the set of Broadway's Hedwig and the Angry Inch. You'll also hear Hall's memories of playing iconic TV roles in Dexter and 6 Feet Under. Hey, thanks so much for joining us, everybody.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
All right. And all right. So let's start with how you all met. Obviously, it was on the set of Hedwig and the Angry Inch on Broadway. Michael, you played that lead role. I saw it with Neil Patrick Harris on Broadway. If no one's seen it that's listening, go see that. Absolutely amazing show. But tell me how that show ended up, introducing all of you and you decided to start a band.
Yeah, I met Peter playing Hedwig. Peter was the drummer for the band The Angry Inch. I got a taste for what it was to front a band and to play with Peter every night. It was somebody else's music, but it gave us a sense of how much fun that was. And then Peter and Matt, I think, knew each other from way back, but Matt joined the band for the tour of the show, and they reacquainted and hit it off and started making instrumental stuff when they got back to New York, some of which I heard, and I just offered to sing on the instrumental tracks I heard, and did that one day, and it was all just sort of as an experiment for fun, but the next thing we knew, we'd written like 10 songs, and we were like, we should play these for somebody other than ourselves, and we booked a gig, and we came up with a name, and we've been just sort of chasing after it ever since. We never really consciously set out to be a band, but it found us.
Well, we love that it did. And you mentioned the name. I love it. Princess Goes to the Butterfly Museum. You have to say it a couple times. It sticks in your head. Wasn't it one of your guys' daughters helped come up with that, right?
Yeah, it was my daughter who came up with it. Yeah.
And how did that happen? You were suggesting a name for her band or something?
Yeah, she just came up with it. She just told me, yeah, this is the name that you guys are gonna have. And then that was it.
But the merch is a little big on it, right?
Yeah, she loves it though. I mean, we have little keytar pins that she loves. She loves the shirts and the cool writing and the logo and the hats. Yeah, it's more like she's sort of swimming in it. It's big on her.
It is. It's really cool though. It's a really catchy name. All right, well, let's go into the music. Obviously, that's what people are going to hear at Baltimore Soundstage. So take me back. I believe you started with a self-titled EP, and it had that haunting track Ketamine on it. I don't know which one wants to take this, but tell me about how that original EP and that song Ketamine came about. Like, what was that? Was it like a flourish of creativity during the pandemic, or how did that actually come about?
Yeah, the EP was actually done before. This is Peter. This was done before the pandemic, around 2018, 19, or I'm not exactly sure when. But Ketamine was a special track that we wrote together early on. It started with this just 4-note bass line, and Mike heard it and immediately saw some vocal melody potential and lyrics, and we sent it to Matt, and he took this piano track that he had done in his studio and put all these delays and effects on the piano and created this soundscape just from very minimal piano track. And might be our smallest session we've ever done. It just has a very few elements like bass and Matt's atmosphere and Mike's vocals and melody and lyrics. So it was kind of a perfect example of just the simplest sort of tools to achieve that outcome. And then when we recently just released a Ketamine remix EP, which has 4 different artists from all over the world and 4 bands that we really like, did reinterpretations of the song. So I'd encourage anybody to, if they like that song, to go check out on Apple Music or Spotify the Ketamine remix EP.
Awesome. What were the 4 bands, real quick?
One's from Detroit called The Armed. And they have a great record out called Ultra Pop that everybody should check out. Our mixer and friend Brandon Boast did a remix. A band from Norway called Pika Is My Name a duo from Norway did an electronic sort of remix, and then a DJ in New York, DJ Lauren Flex, did a sort of house remix of it.
Love it. Everyone check that out. The Ketamine, the remix EP. All right. And then after that first, self-titled EP, you guys did the debut full length album. Thanks for coming. I don't know who wants to take this one, Michael or Matt or Peter, but either way, just tell me about, how that one came together, how maybe you guys had evolved, but to the point to do, a full length album at that point.
Well, I think we had a good amount of material together, and before the pandemic hit, we had plans to go out and do some recording in the desert in California, and do maybe some shows out that way, but that all got canceled because of the pandemic. And we were just sort of regrouping and realized that it may be a good time to try to put a full length together, and kept writing. I think probably half the songs on the Thanks for Coming full length were written during the pandemic. The other half, give or take, were more fully realized before that. But yeah, in a way, the pandemic was a catalyst for us focusing in on and getting that recording together. And some of it we recorded remotely, sharing ideas, in different ways, and we would get together periodically in the studio and maybe finalize things. But I think it was a lifeline for all of us during the first sort of pandemic 1.0, at least that first year. It kept us sane, kept us creative, kept us connected, and it was a real blessing that we had that to focus on.
Awesome. Now, we've spoken off camera previously in the past, and I believe one of you said that describing the actual sound of the band, that the first time someone heard it, someone was like, "What is that sound?" So, how would you describe the band sound? We've dropped a lot of song titles and album titles, but just sonically, how would you describe the sound of the band?
We like to use a gothadelic sometimes, and we've combined gothadelic with rocktronic, and those two compound, I don't even know what kind of words those are. Gothadelic, rocktronic seem to cover a lot of the ground that we've been covering.
Gothadelic.
Yeah, it's pretty broad spectrum, eclectic, atmospheric. Maybe cinematic somehow. I mean, I think there's something kaleidoscopic. Yeah, for sure. We never sat down and decided how we wanted to sound or what or who we wanted to sound like. We just started making music, and I think the name helped with our hope that we could keep it kind of wide open. Princess Goes to the Butterfly Museum. The Butterfly Museum sounds like a place where you could have a lot of different kinds of songs, kinds of sounds, kinds of feelings, different wings in the museum that you could visit.
I see what you did there. Butterfly wings.
Yeah,
there you go.
And if you create something that feels new, you can just knock down a wall and build a new wing.
Right. I love it. Room for all the different genres and wings of that Butterfly Museum. All right. Well, real quick. I know Peter, prior to this, in the Hedwig and all that stuff, you did drums for the Wallflowers back in the day. Just memories of that band real quick.
Yeah, that was like in my first band out of college that I moved to LA and met those guys. They were just out of high school, and we started the Wallflowers, and it was a really, really good time, especially in the beginning. We were doing more experimental kind of replacements like rock and roll, which I really like that kind of garage rock. But as over time, it seemed to sort of be morphing into, more Americana, more music. That was right around the time that Nirvana came out with Nevermind, and I was just obsessed with that record, and still kind of am to this day. And when Nirvana came out, I was just sort of like, to the Wallflowers, I was like, we should be more like this. Don't you guys want to rock a little more? And it was, kind of contentious in the band, and ultimately led to me jumping ship just because I wanted to explore different kinds of music. But it was a good time, a good experience, and they're good guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love that music and hope you got the one headlight fixed. You probably never heard that joke before, but uh,
Well, I drive a motorcycle,
how
so it's
about you,
all
Matt?
the same.
Say, well, Matt, you said Matt played keys for Blondie, Cyndi Lauper. You know, what do you pick up any, touring stage presence, lessons from, those badass ladies?
Yeah, they're great. Especially Debbie. I'm actually recording with Debbie and Blondie later today for a new Blondie album. She's a big Princess fan. She's come to numerous shows and has even helped us carry gear into the venue, out of the venue, loaded into her car when we need extra help transporting things. She'll let us, I don't know, she'll go grab us food or coffee. I mean, it's a great relationship. It's great to have someone around.
That's
basically.
awesome to carry the gear, man. That is legit right there. Back to the old days of struggling and carrying your own gear.
Yeah.
And just to round out the trifecta, Michael, obviously before this band, you of course did Dexter. My listeners will kill me if you don't ask one Dexter question, but clearly it's changed your life. People walk down the street will know you as that. But talk about just the genius concept of the show. We finally got to root for a serial killer to kill other bad people. That's what made that sucker unique, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think when I would tell people about the concept of the show back when I just signed on to do it and was about to shoot the pilot, they were like, "Oh wow, good luck with that." That's not going to work. Yeah, I think there are plenty of shows about dark characters and serial killers, shows, movies, but it was the first one to tell a story subjectively through the point of view of a serial killer. And because as an audience, you're in on his traumatic origin story and appreciating that he's taken unique responsibility for his darkness and that he only kills bad people. And because you're hearing his internal monologue, you're kind of like rooting for him and implicated in what he's doing because you're sort of inside his experience. I think that's how we managed to pull it off. But it was fun. I mean, getting to work as an actor feels like getting away with something generally, and if you get to play a character like Dexter, you really feel like you're getting away with something. So.
Oh, absolutely. And does anyone even come up and ask you about 6 Feet Under? Because that was before. I mean, that was sort of you were the original Fun Home. I mean, I love that show on Broadway, but that was a funeral home. you like these dark shows that become.
Yeah, I mean,
culture.
They just find me. I mean, I never made a definitive point of doing that, being surrounded by dead bodies, but it seems to keep happening. Well, or at least it has up to this point. But yeah, no, people will certainly still talk about 6 Feet Under, and because of the way content survives nowadays, some people will talk about 6 Feet Under and reveal that they just started watching it. So yeah. It's still alive out there. It's cool. It makes it feel like you're still working.
I love it. Technology sort of erased past, present, and future. Old shoes.
It's messed with time.
It's awesome. Well, we've messed with time enough today. So thanks so much for joining us. Let's bring it full circle to the Baltimore Soundstage, July 22nd. I guess, tell our listeners why they should come out, or actually maybe the best way would, Michael, how would Dexter threaten them to come out?
I don't know. Come see the show or I'll kill you. That's no, man. I mean, either be glad you went to the show or regret that you didn't. It's your call.
There you go. Perfect place to leave it. Again, Baltimore Soundstage on July 22nd. The band is Princess Goes to the Butterfly Museum. Michael, Peter, Matt, thanks so much for taking the time, so much time to join us today.
Thank you, Jason.
You too.
Thanks so much for joining us on Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Remember to hit the subscribe button and give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time. I wanted to take a second to tell you about an app I really enjoy. Living in the DC area is great, and Podcast DC gathers all of the local shows that I like all in one local app. Health, sports, local news, politics, and so much more. Podcast DC is the new local app with hundreds of DC area podcasts to choose from. I can earn exciting rewards just for listening and share the podcasts I love instantly. Available in the App Store or in Google Play, listen local with Podcast DC.